Hey, good morning to our garden chat. And I was a little excited about that. Hi, you're here.
Quiet on the set, birds. Quiet on the set.
Hey, as long as we get those dang dogs to shut up. But we're not hurting because the grass is growing over there and we don't want to destroy it. And they're mad at us about it. All the rabbits are having babies. The duck wants to be involved. He's literally right here. And we have a rabbit that is trying to, a baby rabbit that was able to escape. You all right there, Donald? Looks a little traumatic. That has been sneaking into the garden. And let's get into our topic and then let's talk about how we can protect what we're actually growing. Because I think those are our two topics. Like, get yourself excited about trying to grow something, and then how do you protect what you're growing? How do you eat? How do you grow as if you don't have a grocery store? And how the emotional ups and downs of that can be. So we'll talk about that after our actual topic. So I was scrolling through, social media and all the things and whatever, and I came across this what do we call it? I don't know. We came across this short that was talking about what is actually in table salt that they sell us. Now, it gets really scary whenever you really start delving into and you're like, why would they be feeding us that? Why would they be telling us that that is okay to put in your body?
Right.
Like, and keep it a secret. So they know it's terrible, but they're going to keep it a secret. And then we have to find out how many years later, how long has table salt? How long have they been doing this to table salt? So apparently in your regular table salt that we all just kind of buy and put on our tables is glass and sand.
Yeah.
So what happens when we ingest glass? Kimmy?
Apparently it cuts up the inside of your arteries, and then that is what causes that cholesterol to attack that to try to help it, right? So then the cholesterol builds up in your arteries,
and then they get to sell you cholesterol medicine and start restricting your other foods and start doing all of these things when it appears as if they are doing something on purpose to give us high cholesterol.
And your blood pressure increases as well, because your body's trying to.
So, of course, we find this out. I don't, if you're not getting mad, then you're not opening your eyes. I honestly, I don't know how else to say it. We expect this level of safety from our food that we are just about forced to purchase from the grocery store because
can't make it.
Salt.
We can't make salt.
No, we don't live by the sea.
No.
So I started delving into different salts. Now, I started using Himalayan pink salt a long time ago because, it was like years ago. One, it's pink, so it's pretty, and I liked
healthier.
it. And it's healthier. But you need to test your Himalayan salt because... and how you test it is you pour some glasses of milk and you pour it in, you pour a big scoop of it into maybe a cup of milk and let it sit for 20 minutes, stir it around. If your milk turns pink, then it is fake Himalayan salt. If your milk stays white, then it is real Himalayan salt. Share that brand with us here in this video in the comments so that everybody else can go purchase that particular type brand.
Again, back to the fake food.
Right.
You got to make sure it's the real thing. And why not in
have
water?
To test it. Huh?
Did they say why not in water?
Well, I think because you can.
I think it turns pink in water.
It could be such a small amount of pink that I don't know if you would see it in water as you would in milk.
But for sure, with that one, you want to check in milk.
Yeah, because it could be varying degrees of pink. The person that I saw testing it was testing 3 different kinds. I can't remember the brand that she said that it showed.
They also, you also brought up something about chalk being in, was that salt?
What was it?
I thought that was in salt as
I think
well.
it was in salt.
And to test that, you have to do that, dissolve that in water. And if you get a white substance or
yes,
like a cloudy substance in the bottom of it,
yes, then there's chalk in it.
In your salt.
So you could have glass, you could have sand, and you could have chalk.
Yes.
In your salt, which I'm not really sure what chalk is made of. I didn't look it up, but it doesn't seem like it's an ingestible, healthy thing to have in your body.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. Because I know when I get chalk on my hands, so me and the grandkids we would color chalk on the sidewalk, that my hands would get like really dried out.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would dehydrate you. It just can't be healthy. So
again, we're just bringing light to things. You guys do your own research,
We're sharing information that is coming to us because we're on this search. Honestly, it's because we've started not feeling well, really well. And I've been super healthy my whole life. I genetically come from a healthy line of people. We've been very blessed with that. We have seen some diabetes that can be controlled with food. I can't remember which type that is. Late in life glaucoma, but in general, my bloodlines live to be in their 90s and are pretty active. My grandpa was hunting with a bow in his late 80s, mid 80s. So, pretty healthy line. But here lately, I have, now physically we're doing way more than I've ever done, but I had those tumors in my uterus, had to have that hysterectomy because it was extreme. That could come from chemical exposure from the military. But finding out the things that you can do that can actually help those things, so you don't have to have surgery, you don't have to lose your uterus, you don't have to, all those kinds of things. So,
well, and back to like the inflammation that
the
food
inflammation
is causing,
is the worst.
which causes you guys to, people to have pain in certain areas of the body, or just puffiness all over.
And my inflammation is so bad right now that when we tested my blood with my doctor, markers for rheumatoid arthritis showed up, which I did have a great grandmother that had rheumatoid arthritis, so there is that in the line. I mean, she had the crooked fingers.
The family history.
My great grandpa used to say, she would say, turn right up here, and he would be like, left, and he would turn left. It was hilarious to us kids. We thought it was funny, but it was because her fingers kind of went the opposite way. So she had rheumatoid arthritis. I also remember her still being very active, even with RA. I feel like I can't even walk some days because my ankles and my feet and my wrists and my hands hurt way more than I remember my grandparents.
And you've also noticed that you're having a lot of gastrointestinal stuff with processed food.
Acid reflux, any processed food, I pretty much immediately get acid reflux, which I never got before. This is something that I never used to have. And so it's like, why is this stuff coming up? And I think you get, you're getting older, therefore that should be a thing. And it really shouldn't be a thing. Yeah. Our bodies should not be reacting like that to foods that we're eating. To bread.
If it was healthy
to
food.
Crackers.
Like food back the way our grandparents used to do it in a garden.
So that I've always been super interested in that. Like I started making my own bread a long time ago. And this actually had to do with a challenge that a friend and I had back when, so 25 years ago, because I think Victor was like between 5 and 7. And he's 30 today. Today is his birthday.
Happy birthday to your baby boy.
But we had a challenge on who could feed our family of 2. She was married, but I had a growing boy who ate like a full grown man, and she had a husband. And so we ended up picking some meals, making 5 meals, freezing them, and we did this whole prepping thing. And I started making my own bread at that point, because I had purchased, the big bag of flour, the big bag of salt, the big bag of all of that stuff to really start heavily prepping. And I've always loved to cook from scratch. So that's always, I was doing that since I was 10. So, but now even if I eat sourdough bread from the store-bought sourdough, I get acid reflux, which you're not supposed to get acid reflux from sourdough. It's fermented. So there is all of that. But Celtic sea salt I started looking up, and Himalayan, I started comparing the two, which was better, because I've kind of seen this thing about get into Celtic sea salt versus anything else. And I think it's because the Himalayan salt, people are finding that it's fake. And when you buy it, it ends up being fake. So the two difference that I found, let's just say from real Himalayan salt and real Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt is comes from it's not Celtic, it's the method that they use to get it is a Celtic method, but it comes from France, and they rake it up. No metal touches the salt, so wooden rakes, they rake it up, they dehydrate it out. It does hold a lot of water. It is really good. It has a lot of minerals in it. It has lower sodium in it. So if you have high blood pressure, what were the other things that I was reading out? I'm trying to not get the two mixed up, but
chloride, it has less chloride in it.
More chloride. Less sodium. So it was like 50% chloride, 33% sodium, where Himalayan was 98% sodium and chloride.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess so it's less either way, because 98 versus 50. But if you have high blood pressure, real Himalayan salt will lower that. But if you have low blood pressure, then Celtic sea salt is the salt that you want, because it will help with that. So I think those are the two big factors. The minerals, they said there's a bunch of minerals in both of them, but there's not enough to actually affect with the amount that you use of salt, which is a low amount. So it wouldn't really help you unless you're taking baths in it for the magnesium and that kind of stuff. So,
and you did note that it has a lot more magnesium, and it has a lot more of those types of minerals.
Correct.
That people really do need, like during the winter months when you're not outside and you're not getting fresher vegetables.
Right. So we'll do a short on testing our Himalayan salt that we get. I used to get it from Costco. I do now purchase it from the grocery store. So I don't know, maybe we'll have Kelly pick us up some sea salt from Costco and we could test the two. But so yeah, test your Himalayan salt, see if it's real. Let us know in the comments below and where you got it. And if you guys have some that you know is definitely real, let us know. The Celtic sea salt, it's not really something that you see on the shelves.
It's a bit harder to find.
You can't order it. I did look it up. It's not ridiculously expensive. But so we're going into a season of preserving your foods. And so this is where salt really does come in, because when you're preserving your food, you're using salt. Well, I don't want to put glass and sand and chalk into my food that I've grown or tried to grow as organically as possible and done all of these things. I don't want to preserve it.
You need to check out the pickling salt and see what's in it.
To look at that.
Yeah.
So, that kind of moves into our next topic of if you don't have a garden. So we established this garden. We started this garden last year when we made these beds, these beds that you see behind us, which a lot of people commented and said they absolutely love them. And we love them too. There's a couple of things I would do different, a little bit more support in the center. But you can very inexpensively...
Quiet down there, Bob.
You can very inexpensively get some cedar fence pickets from Home Depot. They're inexpensive, and create some beds, some 6-foot by 3-foot beds. I think it's like $30 that you can build your own. It's very simple. They're not hard. We're going to build some more right here, I think. And I do want to comment that the back bed, and I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but the back bed is not doing as well as this front bed. The back bed has store-bought fertilizer. The front bed has rabbit manure. No other fertilizer, just rabbit manure and mulch that not mulch, we used to put down straw. So the rabbit, all winter long, as the rabbits would poop, we just come in and cover it with straw. They get their fresh bed, so it's layered, and it's breaking down, and we're just kind of adding it on as fertilizer. I'm going to go ahead and fertilize everything else because I want that back bed to grow really well too, but I was kind of testing those things. So, and seriously, purchase a couple of rabbits, get their manure.
And that's really like one of the most important things is having really good soil, because Heather and I were talking about, back when probably
our first
20
gardens.
or so years ago, I did a garden in my grandma's backyard because I lived in an apartment. And you don't even have to have fancy beds. If you have some tilled ground, you can mound up the soil, you can plant and do really well. My first garden didn't yield very much, but it's because I bought stuff from the store. I bought fertilizer from the store, and I bought soil from the store, and it's not the best stuff. If you can get more organic stuff from farms or from animal manure, like Heather was talking about, and you can amend your soil, do your own composting. So that's the most important.
So my first garden, same. I went to Walmart. I had no idea about compost. I was in Texas. My neighbor loaned us his rototiller, and Victor went through, and we did a 36 by 36 space. Victor tilled it all up, and it was heavy black clay. Like, it is heavy black clay. Stick to your boots clay. And so we tilled that up. I mean, I think the tiller only went in this deep. Like, it's just a dot. There's no drain. It was on a little bit of a slope. And so I went to Walmart, and I didn't know anything about compost. So I bought, it was when they were selling those little bags that were like $1.19 a piece. And I bought 10 of each one that they had because I didn't know. And I just mixed them all together. And then I created these rows, and I just started planting. And so then the weeds started growing up, and I did not want to weed. We have this it's a creeper grass. So it like hard takes over. It'll destroy everything. It's great if you just want grass.
Or animals to graze it.
Well, it doesn't grow up, it grows out. So I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it's extremely invasive. And so that's when I got into rabbits. And so I was like, oh, we need some rabbits. I can put I started researching, what could I do? So then I made these cages that went in between my rows, and I just kind of pulled my rabbits along, and they would eat, and then I would rake their manure up on the bed. And now I had 2 master gardeners. Both of my neighbors on both sides of me were master gardeners and certified, had their little diplomas and stuff, taken the classes, done all the things. Super cool, full of information. And they were like, look, your first garden, don't be discouraged. Keep going, keep doing. You're going to get better every year. You're not going to get a lot of yield out of your first garden. Don't quit. That was, just, you're doing good. You got seeds in the ground. You're doing good. Super encouraging. Well, that garden yielded us so much. And I literally believe it's the rabbit manure, to the point that they actually both bought rabbits and started getting rabbit manure. And I didn't put anything else on them. I didn't know about fertilizer. I didn't know about any of the things. So that is my go-to fertilizer. So you get meat. You get the enjoyment of watching the rabbits.
They're a lot of fun.
We watch them. We love it. Now
that's what we do when we drink our coffee in the morning.
Yeah, we sit and watch it.
Yep.
Now the community colony gardening, rabbit pen that I have right now, you're not going to collect a bunch of manure, but what is going to happen is in the winter time, each one of the rabbits that we keep, we're going to harvest a bunch. They're going to go in the freezer, and I am going to set up where I want my next beds to be. I'm going to build a cage over it for the rabbits. So we'll have the mesh down on the bottom, and then all winter long, I'll just be adding, because we don't want to breed in the winter time. So I'll just be adding over their manure. I'll be adding straw, some bedding, that kind of stuff. And then in the spring, I can come in I've already got my raised bed set up, established. I've got a good line of manure. I can start mixing in my rabbit manure. The poo is cold fertilizer. The urine is very hot. So you want to be very careful about about the urine. So mixing that all up with some good soil and planting in it, that's my plan for next season. So we will have again those established beds. And so I was talking to a friend of mine, and she is gonna till her area, put down her weed fabric, the black fabric that we have right here. She's actually in it. We're gonna give her some, and that's what I was like, just establish your beds. Like, if you don't do anything else, just establish your beds this season, start filling them, and then next spring you can, if you build a little frame over them, you could put a little hot house over them, you can plastic them, you create these small little greenhouses and start your plants. That is what we are going to be doing here. So and year one with these, we got a little bit. We didn't get a huge amount. We got a little bit.
But it was better than the year before that when we did out that way.
And this year, so the year before, I bought soil, and it was the contaminated soil. I think Jess with Roots and Refuge had the same issue. It kind of was across the nation. I feel like we had a lot. It was organic soil that was supposed to be wonderful, and a bunch of people in this area bought it, and a bunch of people had very slow starts, rocks. All of our strawberry plants died
in the soil.
And terrible. I think it was because of the soil. So our new strawberry plants that we have here are trying to take over the world. They're so happy. They're in this bed right here. Our kale, the difference between this kale and that kale are ridiculous.
And the tomato, the difference between the two tomatoes.
The two tomato plants, yeah.
Again, I'll move so you guys maybe can see it, but
I've done some shorts on them. But yeah, so, your fertilizer is a big deal, which could be very expensive. So, if you've got a couple of rabbits, you can get a couple of rabbits. You can get a lot of manure for a couple of rabbits. You don't need a huge amount to start fertilizing your plants.
And even if you don't get rabbits or don't have rabbits, get on Facebook Marketplace, but Facebook, and find some local farmers, some local people that homestead, and just put in there, I'm searching for rabbit manure or what have you.
I'm sure they would sell it.
Goat manure, to
you. I mean, if you're going to purchase it anyway, but... So, those first gardens, I would have to say, when I'm looking back, over my life, I wish I would have started sooner. I wish I would have, I started doing things, but I wish I would have delved into it and been like, you can grow. But I had this fear that had been established in me through the educational system or whatever, that it was not something I could not feed my family, which was me and my son, by growing my own food.
Well, and it goes back to like our grandparents who did garden, our great grandparents, what have you. And as it goes down, the grocery stores became more and more prevalent.
Right.
Therefore, our parents stopped doing the gardening stuff, and they started going to the grocery store.
Right. And the feminist movement. I mean, my mom and my aunt were feminists. They, very much like, get a job. Get out as
you don't need a man.
You don't need a man. Get a job. Have your own account. Just work more hours. Buy your food from the grocery store. It's too hard.
So we got away
it's
from that.
Too much work, and it is hard, and it is a lot of work. But it's like the most rewarding work, I think. So,
don't be discouraged. If you start a garden, it's not perfect the first year. Just keep going.
It's not. And here's the thing. So my blueberry plants. A chipmunk got in and ate the blueberries and all the leaves. So now we have to think, what can we do to protect what is left? I may not get a harvest of blueberries this year. It may recover and I may get some. I don't know. But anything that you plant that's like that, expect 3 years. Your first season is it's establishing its roots. It's doing its thing. Your second season, it's going to bush out a little bit. It's going to continue to grow the root system and the leafing system. Your third season, you're going to bear fruit. So this is our second season with some of these blueberries. It's our first season with some other ones. So next year we should definitely get blueberries, but also next year we'll have more knowledge to protect. Now, what I would suggest if you were starting, and you don't have, we recycled, reused our fencing. Electric fence will keep rabbits out. It will keep chipmunks out. It will keep squirrels out. Now, if you have trees right next to your thing, chipmunks and squirrels can get in and leap out, but then they can't get out. So, they're trapped in. So you can, put in a little catch cage or whatever. But they're going to learn real quick not to get in because then they can't get out. So, if I was starting from just a plain piece of property that I needed to protect, I would, so a sponsor that we've worked with on the other channel is Beaver. I looked up, they have 164 feet of 35-inch high, and they also have 42.5-inch high electric fence that you would be solar. You could either hook it up to solar or you could hook it up to a regular plug-in, I would guess, for $100. So I would buy one of those. I would set that up into the square, and that is this year's gardening for me. That's what I would do if I was completely starting from scratch. And we like to recycle, reuse. I already have some stuff. So we are going to be continuing our electric wire that we have. And I'm going to try to put it along the bottom. I'm assuming it's going to have to be a few strands so that the rabbits can't get in. And we have had the chipmunks get in through here. So we have an infestation of chipmunks. We have some rabbits that have gotten out and are giving birth. So we have baby rabbits that are running all over the place, and they can fit through this fencing that we have. So now that's our goal. We have to protect what we are growing. They're not eating the potatoes, which is really pretty cool.
And for those of you guys that may be new and aren't sure what's going on here with the pink string, we have deer and they jump really high. So it's a way of keeping the deer out of the garden as well. So. It
flutters. It's very inexpensive. It flutters. We have not had any deer issues. And the deer do jump in this area. Last year, a deer ate us out of garden.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the hardest part, is getting frustrated. My hair is getting so long, can't lean back in my chair without pulling my hair. So look at what animals are going to be your problem. I think rabbits are pretty much everywhere. Deer even come into town. So you have deer. We have turkeys that show up that have been really like, why can't we walk through this anymore? Because this used to be our path.
The rooster is constantly trying to get in here too.
The rooster wants to get in here. Check this out. Electric fence takes care of all of those critters. Every single one of those critters. You don't have to layer. You don't have to do all of these other things. We could literally put electric fence around our rabbits. In why can't I think of what that's called? Our rabbit colony, and use that. And then we would not have anybody escaping or anything like that. So I really like the mesh electric fence. It really takes care of everything. Now, as far as for height, because deer will try to jump, you could do 2 layers of fencing. Especially if you wanted to do some climbers, right? So you could do your climbing. What we'll probably do is add an electric mesh fence around the outside of this, and we'll start growing peas and our climbing things.
Yeah, you could make the trellises on the outside of your garden to keep the deer from jumping in. Have something for almost like a garden tunnel.
Yes. That's actually what we're doing over here. Yeah. So we're going to do our grapes and all of that on cattle panel trellises,
so to speak.
Yeah, and so we want to be able to walk through that and pick grapes and things. And this year, so we know our grapes are a 3-year situation. So this year we're going to be, as we're training those grapes up and they're doing better, we're going to be putting our peas in here. I think we have peas. I know we have beans. The boys and I planted.
We had talked about some cantaloupe and watermelon.
We went ahead and picked up one of each of those at the grocery store. They look really sad. we set them in there. That bed's planted with some other stuff, so we set them in there till we can get them in the ground
to protect them from the bunnies.
Right, so protect them from the bunnies. So, it would be really simple to run just mesh electric fence all the way around your whole section, and then come in with your fencing that you can trellis on. Like we could, around this lower garden, if we could do a mesh fence on the outside of it, then we could plant our peas very easily on this and just have it all contained right in here. So when those are grown with grapes and we don't want to plant peas on it, we could easily attach it to here. So kind of think of those things. But if I was spending money, if I had to spend money right now and starting a new section, that's what I would purchase, would be, because that mesh electric fencing comes with the posts. So you literally purchase that $99, $100. You put that in the ground and you are covered against everything. I mean, to keep bears out, goats, sheep, deer are on there. If it's a small enough mesh, like for the chickens, it would keep rabbits, everything out.
You could use it around a beehive if you have a beehive.
Yes. And you can attach to it and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think for any fencing that we purchase, it's going to be that. You know, and you could put those in the city, in your backyard, in the city, you know, because you have rabbits, you have those things, you have those issues. So, you know, kind of if that's, once you've planted your harvest, you have to look at protecting your harvest. And I would say that honestly is going to be the least expensive when you come down to it. T-posts are ridiculous in price. Everything is so expensive. I know some people want to give me some flack about, well, Viver is a Chinese company and you're buying from China. Well, I can't afford anything else. It's so expensive to live right now here in the United States.
We do
everywhere.
Really try hard to purchase USA as much as possible, but on a really tight budget, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. And right now, my health is being attacked by
our own
government. So that's the most important thing to me right now, is growing my own food so that I'm protecting my health and my grandchildren's health, my family's health, because they're putting glass in your salt, people.
Yeah.
I am angry. I'm very angry that,
and just preparing for your future.
Learning this skill, because I mean, unless it appears as if what we're going to is you're going to have to put a microchip either in your phone or download an app on your thing so that you can access a grocery store, because that's how they're controlling. So it's a skill that you really do want to learn now, so that you can in the future, if you don't want to participate in that type of thing. I do not. I will not. I will not. I will grow my own. Yeah. And then once you start growing your own, you've got to think about, what are we going to do as far as preserving our foods. The freeze dryers are really good. Darla, our friend Darla, does a lot of freeze drying. She has bought one of those. I would definitely like to move into that. Those are very expensive. I think they're like $2,500. But they have come down in price. You can buy freeze-dried food. It is very expensive. I would say if you're starting your first garden, purchase some of that stuff for winter, because you're probably not going to have enough to harvest. We are not going to have enough to harvest. We may have some, but we're not going to have enough to harvest. So what we're going to be doing is, for preserving, we're going to go to the farmers markets. We're going to purchase local. We're going to do that kind of stuff. And we'll purchase extra of something. We did purchase the powdered tomato sauce. So it's powdered tomatoes that you can then turn into anything else. So We've got quite a bit of that. We have green beans.
Yes, we've got lots of that.
I got on to a freeze-dried thing, and I somehow hit the auto return or auto send, and we got a few months of green beans until I switched it over to the tomato powder. So now we've gotten that in, and so I think we're set on that. Pick a few recipes that you like, and see how you can preserve that food for the winter time and what you can do for that. We are going to be canning rabbit So I'll definitely show you guys how to do that. We'll do a video on that. So if you have not subscribed, subscribe. We're going to continue with these garden chats. I think some people have said we should turn them into podcasts. So I think that's probably what we're going to end up doing. But we're going to continue to bring those to you to help for awareness. That's what we're doing. Just trying to get you to be aware of what is going on, because I never thought that they were feeding us glass.
Do your research.
Do your research. Look at your things. Hey, bud, don't eat that.
Find out what's important to you guys.
What is